One, two, three, go!
Right, lads, let's get into it. I am Mal Foster, and I'm kind of currently battling against the sonic forces of people with lawnmowers. Don't know if it's a lawnmower man. Don't know if it's the lawnmower man. Hopefully not, because that movie actually scarred me mentally as a child. My cousin Robin made me sit down and watch that when I was about, I want to say 7, 8. I think that came out 92, 93. It was on VHS. So I must have been about 8. I was spending Christmas at my auntie's house, and he thought it was the best thing in the world to sit me down and watch Lawnmower Man with him. And I don't remember anything about it other than a priest caught on fire, and it terrified the Holy Spirit out of me. Maybe that's why I'm just so vehemently agnostic. Maybe because my cousin Robin scared the Jesus out of me with that movie. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, I've never seen it since. So maybe that's on my wish list, perhaps, of self-development. Which, funnily enough, this episode really gets into. That's right, what a wonderful segue. I am such a pro. Oh yeah, look at that. Smooth as butter all over a baby otter. No, that's just weird. Yeah, that's definitely weird. Anyway, this episode is, for the most part, actually all about self-healing. You know, we're talking about alternative medicine, Chinese medicine, we're talking about cupping, talking about all sorts of different alternative practices and lifestyle behaviors. So, yeah, if you're into your alternative medicine, your alternative ways of healing, therapy, self-betterment, all of that good stuff, then this is definitely one for you. If not, as I said last week, it's probably one for you anyway, because it may just open your eyes to something that you didn't even know existed, but feel like, yeah, okay, I could maybe have a crack at that and give that a go. Yeah, then this is definitely one for you. This is about it for the preamble. It's relatively short and surprisingly sweet. Or wait, should that be surprisingly short and relatively sweet? I don't know. You decide. I'm not the boss of your brain. Anyway, yeah, I think I've said too much already anyway with the lawnmower man thing and then talking about putting butter all over a baby otter. Yeah. Anyway, this is this week's episode. It's me talking with Rachel Shaw about all sorts of really cool stuff, and we also get into different areas. It's not just about self-healing and betterment, although that is a big chunk of it. We talk about being a magnet for certain individuals, people that like to tell you their life story, people that have issues or problems that they're maybe looking for a stranger's guidance on. You know, finding yourself in situations you weren't looking for, didn't ask for, but somehow find yourself just, thrust in the center of. Maybe you're one of those people. Maybe you're one of those people that just always attracts the attention of people. Some people who you really don't want to attract the attention of, and some people you really are quite happy to help. I don't know, maybe you are one of those sort of empathetic magnets that we're talking about. And we also talk about reincarnation a little bit as well. Yeah, so there's that. And Enter the Void. Yeah, the Gaspar Noé DMT movie. So there's a lot going on in this one. There really is a lot going on in this one. So, strap yourself in and enjoy.
You got to be open to trying it. I think that's something that, again, I think we both share. We both share that sort of, I don't know if it's a value or whatever it is, but we're both quite open to trying new things and stuff, aren't we? And that's what I was saying before about, like, when you've gone and done your hypnotherapy or your past life regression and what was the other thing called? The tank thing. What's it called?
Oh, it's sensory deprivation.
Yeah. I think if you're open to anything, then you're more, I don't know, you're more likely to find something that's really cool and really good that'll actually, you can take forward in your life. So this could be the thing where you're like, yes, this is going to be the thing that I take forward for the rest of my life, and it's really beneficial to you. You just got to open yourself up and try anything.
I absolutely 101%. I'm going 1% over the actual allowance there. Agree with that. And honestly, it's something. So a little bit of backstory for people that aren't familiar. Prior to me turning 30, a big chunk of my 20s was miserable, and I was just so self-contained and isolated, and I just didn't want to do anything, didn't want to see anyone. Was basically just in like my own personal abyss. Not to get violins out for a sort of sad concerto, but I was in a very miserable place, and I was not in a good place physically. Managed to kind of work that down, get into a better physical place, and in doing so, got into a better mental place. And at the age of 30, went traveling by myself for the first time. And this is when I started doing the things that Rachel has mentioned about doing the sensory deprivation tank and about saying yes to doing things I would never have considered. And without any sense of exaggeration or inflation, it has improved my life, my general well-being. And to go back to what you were saying before about curating your own environment, saying yes and being open to different experiences, even if they don't work or they don't stick or they do nothing for me, the fact that I've allowed myself to say yes and do it has curated a much happier, healthier environment. And it's allowed me to see that there is so much more out there by just being open and susceptible to it.
Plus, it provides bloody great stories.
That too, you know.
It's always a good talking point.
It is indeed, even if nothing comes of it. Personally, I can always say, hey, I did this weird thing once. But in all sincerity, I think that is something that has definitely, in the last 5 years, been a major shift in me as a person. Like, I feel like I've evolved a lot by being more open and saying yes. And in one of the things that you sent me as possible things to talk about, this ties up quite nicely, actually. You said about saying yes to any random thing that pops up. Where did that come from? Why did you suggest that? Is this something that you've been thinking about yourself more recently?
Well, I do already do that, but
Mhm.
not as extreme as you, and not as probably as normal. I don't want to say normal, because the things that I'm going to suggest aren't normal, but a lot of people will say, oh, I'll always try something once, and usually the first thing that comes to mind is like going in a cage shark with a shark. I don't know what that cage diving, shark diving, I don't know, whatever it's called, or
Yeah.
bungee jumping, or whatever, like all these extreme sports kind of things. And then you've done these other crazy things, which I would do. However, I'm a little bit scared. Actually, I was thinking about this and I was like, what are all the weird things that I've said yes to, that when I tell people I'm doing XYZ at the weekend, their immediate reaction is, what is that? And then the second reaction is, why? But when I was actually going through them all, a lot of them are basically stuff that's kind of just like going to sleep.
What?
So, Gong Baths.
Okay, right. We may have to just stop on each one and kind of expand a little bit. We're definitely going to have to expand on Gong Baths. What
So,
the hell is a Gong Bath? I'm already interested,
but
but
this
what
is
is
what
it?
I mean, Mal. Like, we would be such a good duo for all this. You can do all the weird stuff that's like really scary, and I'll do all the stuff that basically means that you just lie down somewhere and almost fall asleep. So a gong bath is, you go into a room. Last time I did it, there was like 30 other people in the room, so that wouldn't be COVID compliant now. But it's, and this is another thing as well, just before I go into what gong bath is, I don't really look into what these things are and what to expect before I do them. I just hear about them and I'm like, that sounds kind of interesting, let's just go for it, because then you don't really know what to expect. So a gong bath, you go and you basically, the best thing to do is take a pillow and a blanket and a yoga mat. Preferably, they actually have special mats that are like rolled up mattresses, some people who are really good, and wear fluffy socks. You can wear an eye mask if you like, and you lie down in a room and there's 2 or 3 people, and they have this setup of basically just massive symbols.
Mm-hmm.
And these symbols have different names, and I think that some of them are, I think they're very aligned with the planets and the lunar phases and stuff like that. So at certain times of the year, they'll use certain gongs, dependent on, I guess it's related to astrology. I've not really looked into it clearly.
Okay.
And they just play, and so they just play these gongs, and you lie down and you just listen to these vibrations for an hour. And you got to get there early if you want your face really close to the symbols, or you can tell the people who are like pros at it, because they go and their face is like right next to the symbols, or they put their feet next to it. And it's meant to be that the sound waves and the vibrations that you get from it are taking you into like a super relaxive state. That's not a word, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, I think we know what you mean. Kind of.
So,
I'm still getting my head around why they would. Why do they want their face close? Does that not like
the vibrations, Mal, the vibrations.
But does it not hurt their ears? Like that? It's got to be pretty.
No,
Or is
it's
it
not
just
like a crash.
right?
It's like, you know, those big soft drum hitters. I got all the words tonight. The little
the sticks with like the marshmallows on the end.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
like, and it's like a sea. It's like it's literal sound waves. You can almost feel it washing over you.
Okay.
So what's meant to happen is it takes you into this super relaxive state, and you're not asleep, but you're kind of asleep, and it's just a bit weird.
Okay.
And it's meant to bring visualizations. It's almost like you have a bit of an out of body visualization experience. What happened to me when I first went was I couldn't get comfy. The person next to me was snoring. The person on the other side of me was breathing really loud. And then I think that I finally dropped into this hyper relaxive state maybe 15 minutes before the end. And the only thing that I visualized was some giant, if you can imagine like a Chinese dragon, you know, from Chinese New Year.
Right.
But bigger and more scary. And it was just chasing me. So that was great.
So during your Gong Bath experience, you basically were put into a state of hyper awareness in which you just picked up on things that you may not have done. And then you just had a sort of almost lucid dream about being chased by a giant serpent.
Yeah, pretty much. So I tried it again.
Right.
You gotta, I usually do something at least 3 times before I decide, nah, let's move on to the next thing.
That's a good rule. So second time at the Gong Bath.
It's all right. Again, I wasn't really comfy again. I didn't really enjoy it, but some people really love it, you know. But I don't know whether my mind was too active, which is weird because I'm really, really good at meditation.
Right.
And like I really get certain types of meditation. I actually can feel the tingling and the energy flowing through my fingers and all that different stuff. And I literally feel my body melting when they go through, you know, the sections, and it's like in your tongue and your forehead. I actually feel my body melting. So I thought I'd be really good at a Gong Bath, but I don't think it's a skill. I think it's just
Do you think it's because it's with other people and it's not like a solitary thing and that it's in an environment with others?
No, because when I'm meditating, usually the best meditations are in this yoga studio that I like to go to. So that's with other people, and sometimes people are snoring there. But I don't know.
You just tune that out.
Yeah. But I think actually when I do yoga, I do this thing called the Ujjayi breath. I think it's that. Don't quote me. The Ujjayi breath, which is like
the giant breath.
Ujjayi. I actually don't know if that's the right thing. And you have to. My yoga teacher explained it to me that you breathe like Darth Vader, but it's also called the ocean breath. It's like...
Then it's a little creepy, not going to lie.
Yeah, but if like you've got a room full of people... But it's like, it's an official yoga thing anyway. It's very good.
Man, the whole yogi world is a little bit weird, I'll be honest. There's a lot of interesting stuff, but there's some woo-woo stuff in there as well, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's my other thing. That's my second thing that I've said yes to,
Okay.
which was, and there's actually a few things on my list that I want to say yes to, but I haven't, and one of them's related to yoga. So the second thing that I said yes to was which isn't that out there, but crystal Reiki Yin Yoga evening, where
That is a
we,
lot. That is compacting a lot of different elements into one evening.
but it was so relaxing.
What? Right, break this down. Because I'm sure people are obviously familiar with yoga. If not, I don't know what to tell you. The internet and also the last 25 years, just use both. Some people may be familiar with Reiki and crystals. Some people
Yeah.
might, but how do they work in tandem? That is an interesting mix.
Yeah, so you went to the yoga room and you couldn't go in beforehand. Everybody had to enter the room at the same time, and as you went in, all the mats were already laid out, which is unusual because usually you take your own mat.
Yeah.
And on every mat there was a card and a crystal. And so what you meant to do is go in the room and walk around the room, everybody walk around the room and go to a crystal that called out to you, that really spoke to you. And then you take that crystal and you place it somewhere on your body, and like usually if you want to place it near your heart, or depends on which of your chakras you're working on through the yin yoga, moved it to different areas of your body. So I kind of kept mine, I think I tucked it in my bra or had it in my hand. It's just a bit awkward having to think about having to hold on to something and not like slipping off and whacking me in the nose or something. And then as you're holding it, because yin yoga is a really slow yoga where you just move into a pose and you hold it for a very long time.
Okay.
So like 3 to 5 minutes. So it's really, you just literally led down.
Right.
There's a theme here.
Yeah.
Then a lady comes over and she'll do Reiki on you while you're holding your yin pose and also holding your crystal. And then at the end of the session, you got to turn over your card, which explained to you what your crystal meant and what it was like giving you at the time. And I think mine was Tiger's Eye. I did buy it at the end. Totally got sucked into that.
Okay. What is Tiger's Eye?
Oh, I don't know. You can't put me on the spot like that. I'm not a crystal expert yet.
Wow. Yet.
I have got a book.
That you added that on so fast without any hesitation. Like that has been a goal in your head, consciously just towards the forefront for some time.
Yeah, so that's how that all fitted together. So that was quite nice. So yeah, 2 really interesting, slow, lying down yeses that I like to do.
So these seem to be more on terms of self betterment, and
Yeah.
I think that would be a fair category to place them under, because whether or not you believe in half of this stuff, and I am really on the fence with most of it, and like firmly in there, I just don't think it is a thing at all with certain aspects. I do feel that the intention behind it is good, and if people are going with the intention that they feel is going to help them, then all power to them.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I'm not fully invested in, I don't fully 100% believe in it, and put, I wouldn't say choose that over a tried and tested method to make my business successful. I'm not going to trust in the crystals. But if they're going to give me like a 5% more chance, then I'm going to carry them damn crystals. So next on my list was, I once went to see a Chinese doctor,
Oh yeah.
traditional herbal Chinese doctor, and this was for an actual medical problem which I had. So this wasn't my just saying yes. It kind of leads into a just saying yes.
Right.
So he was giving me some medicine which was really vile, but it really, really helped. I had a really bad skin condition on my face, and I'd gone to the doctors and nothing was working, and like some beds weren't helping and everything like that. it had been going on for months, and I was in absolute agony. And so I'm just telling you this because I would 100% recommend traditional Chinese medicine to anybody if they have a medical condition that they just can't seem to shift. It's so worth a try, because I went out of absolute sheer desperation because the skin on my face was basically falling off every day, and I couldn't even wash it with water without being like crying in agony. It was so bad. And yeah, it was like last chance saloon. I can't actually think of anything else. Went to see this guy, and 2 weeks later it was better. I did have to take the medicine for quite a while, but yeah, it solved my problem. At the same time, I was having a really tough time in my life. Like, I just lost my dad. I didn't think I was stressed. Like, I was like, I'm managing this. I was punching through and just getting stuff done, because I was doing everything, like organising the funeral and sorting his house. And so I was like getting stuff done. But when you go and see a Chinese doctor, what they do is they take your pulse and they look at your tongue. And they're looking and feeling for heat in the blood, basically, is what he said that my problem was. I had heat in the blood.
Okay.
And he did not know anything about what was going on in my life, but by feeling my pulse and checking my tongue, he was like, you have a lot of stress going on right now. I'm going to give you some cupping. And I was like, whatever the hell that is. So he takes me through to a back room. This guy was relatively strange. I'm just going to caveat that. So it was a slight concern. And he asked me to take all the top layer of all my clothes off.
Now hang on. When he suggests this, and you've already established in your brain at this point that he's a little bit strange, are you okay with saying yes at this point? Or are you having, like, is there a block where you're just like, I should probably be like, I would, but I've got a dentist appointment in 20 minutes?
Yeah, but I'm not very good with stuff like that. I'll just go along with anything, and that's one of my problems. If I'm in a situation and somebody's suggesting something, I'm like, okay.
To avoid an awkward conversation, you were just like, sure, that's exactly what I need. Cupping, whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'd maybe seen it on Friends once. So I think
well,
I kind of thought I knew what it was, but I wasn't 100% certain.
The one where Phoebe gets cupped.
I don't even know if it was on Friends or what. But yes, I went through to the back, and he said, if you can just take your clothes off to your waist. And I'm like, oh. My prude was like, no. But he left the room, so it was okay. And I led down on basically a massage table. And only really afterwards, anyway, he did he did the cups on my back and everything, but then he went upstairs and I could hear him watching Corrie. So I was like, it's kind of not right. He's watching Corrie, my nose is dribbling, and every time I'm moving, all these like miniature fish bowls are just clinking around on my back. So that was an experience.
So what is cupping exactly? What do you mean miniature fish bowls?
So you lie down on your front usually, and they will use a tiny scalpel to cut a really small cut in your skin, and then they have like a fish bowl, a small fish bowl that's kind of like a large doorknob size, I'd say, and they wave a candle underneath it to make a vacuum, and then put it over the cut. So you have like a number of these small fish bowls all over your back, basically. So they'll cut you like 1, 2, 3, 4, like, I don't know, 15, 20 times, and just cover your back in these little fish bowls, but they've made vacuums with the candles, and it sucks out. I think it's meant to suck out like the bad energy from your blood. Anyway, I felt very chilled after I'd left. So
do you feel like it worked?
Yeah, no, I do. But again, I feel like I'd need, because I didn't think I was stressed going in.
Right. But as you said, you were going through a period of grief and you're dealing with all the organizational skills and you're trying to plow ahead and be pragmatic. So, yeah, in your brain, because you're just trying to keep moving forward like a shark, then you kind of not going to register that you're stressed.
No, but I did feel good afterwards. Yeah. I left and I felt Yeah, I felt like I do, like after I've had a really good yoga meditation session. So maybe, maybe it was that. But I think it would be interesting to try that again. I think I did it one more time, and again, I felt pretty good afterwards.
I would maybe be interested in trying. I'm definitely interested in trying the Gong Bath because that does sound
Yeah,
up my street. And yeah, cupping, maybe I do need cupping. Do you know something? I actually wouldn't say no to that because I am looking when things lift and become kind of more accessible. At the moment, I am looking to do some more stuff, possibly even get a
yeah,
massage, which I've never had in my life, and I have got like numerous knots
I'm
in my
so
back.
excited. I'm
So
always
yeah.
suggesting stuff to you to try.
Oh, I know. You a great resource for this kind of
One
thing.
one thing that I've not done yet that is on my list that I really want to do is forest bathing.
What is that?
Now, this I believe in
Is
wholeheartedly.
okay, can I have a guess at what this is and we'll see how close I
Yes,
am?
go
All
on.
right. So going on the prefaces of gong bathing, it's definitely nothing to do with water. I'm gonna guess that you and with you admitting that you're a prude, I'm guessing you don't strip down naked in the forest. So I'm gonna guess that you just sit in a forest and listen to the trees.
Kinda. You
Oh,
you go on a walk through the forest. So this is actually I'm up in the active level. It's not lying
okay.
down.
We're off the ground. We're actually bipedal. We're moving.
um you walk through the forest and you're guided by you have to kind of do it properly to you're guided by somebody who's like an accredited forest bather. I don't know if that's the right word.
Now, there's a question. How do you even get that
I've
qualification?
actually genuinely looked into this and it's very expensive because I was like, oh, I could do this. There's an,
Good to have a backup plan.
I'm saving up for it. And they guide you through the forest, and yeah, you have to like you listen to the trees, and it's like taking a really really mindful walk. And I
Mm.
don't know, because like I say, I don't look into it too much beforehand, but I had to kind of explain it to some people that I'm trying to convince to come with me. But then I do like doing stuff like this on my own, and sometimes they might make you touch the trees and listen to the trees and like put your ears up to them because you can hear them. They do talk to each other, and I do fully believe that, before you ask. And the water moving through them, because if actually one of them has more water than and one of them needs it, they can pass it through the ground to each other. They can tell each other like, I need it, and they'll pass through the ground and stuff. So, and it's just like taking in and really appreciating nature and yeah, being at one with it. I'm
See,
all over that.
see that I can get totally behind. Maybe not talking to a tree or listening to what a tree's got to say to its friend, but you know, I definitely appreciate the idea of just being out in nature. It's something that is very sort of soul uh sort of replenishing. I
Mm,
think, it's one thing that I do kind of miss very much so about not being in England anymore, especially where I was, where I had good access in the lakes to a lot of
yeah,
places. So yeah, I can definitely kind of get behind that. But again, just out of the sheer curiosity of the woo woo aspect of it, of listening to the trees, I would do it. I would try it.
I'll
But
let you know how I get on.
yeah, please do. Maybe you could be like a correspondent for the show
Yes.
and just go and
Oh
try
my
these
god,
things.
yes, please send your weird ideas in, but nothing creepy, nothing scary, and nothing extreme sports. And I don't really like open water, so nothing
It's
like that.
okay.
Although
Okay.
I have recently tried paddleboarding, which is like the new super popular sport, and I do like that, and I'd quite like to try yoga paddleboarding,
Mm,
which will be good.
okay.
But yeah, if anybody's got any suggestions of weird crap that they want to try that they've always thought, what weirdos do that? I am your girl.
But it can't be scary. It can't be an extreme sport, preferably not in open water. And what was the other one?
Just those things. But the reason why I don't do some of the stuff like tarot and hypnotherapy and fortune telling and palm reading, these are all things that I am dying to do, but I also
Mhm.
don't want to do them in case they tell me something I don't want to know.
Right. Is that the reason? Because I was about to ask, because I could sense there was a bit of hesitation there, and I was about to ask, is that because it's kind of messing with perhaps unknown forces?
Yeah, a little bit, and because also I'm a control freak and I like to think I'm in control of my own destiny. And if somebody tells me this is going to happen in your future, like, I just know that I'll be like, oh well, that's it then. That's what's going to happen.
But do you think if you went and got like a palm reading or something, or your fortune told, that you would get bad fortune? That never happens. They always tell you good things. And again, it's because people are afraid of honesty. Because I imagine there have been numerous fortune tellers that have just got horrific visions come to them when someone sat down at their table and they went, oh, I can't tell them that.
I wonder if you pay them more, they'll be honest though, because I'd actually want them to be honest. But that's why I've not been to see them. Yeah. Because I actually tried to learn to read palms myself when I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
And I'm also really want to be a reflexologist.
You are a real Renaissance woman of many hats and interests. And this is why I was so pleased you said you were going to do this, because I just knew we'd get so much fascinating stuff out of it.
Sorry, we could be here all night. I've got a big list.
Honestly, we could. You're definitely coming back, because I don't think we've even scratched the surface of things we could talk about. Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Can't not conclude at least one of these episodes by not talking about something you sent me last minute as a possible topic, and it just has to be addressed. I'm presuming it's you that is a magnet for weirdos, but you just suggested the idea of magnets for weirdos.
Yeah, right.
So, first of all, where did this? Have you had an encounter that's recently happened?
Do you know what? No, not for a while. But I was in the shower. I got home, I had a shower, ate my tea. I was in the shower and I was thinking, do you know what hasn't happened for ages?
I haven't been accosted by a strange person.
I haven't had an encounter with a weird, but that is probably because of COVID. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it does usually happen on public transport or inner cities.
Right.
So, just to caveat before we go into this, some of the people that I've had encounters with, I wouldn't actually call them weirdos. It's just easy to say a weirdo magnet. But I think this actually also comes back to being open to things, because I'm also, I think I'm a naturally open person that even people who are relatively normal, quote unquote, who I just happen to, I don't know, somebody makes a passing comment to me on a train station platform, and then all of a sudden 10 minutes later I literally know their entire life story. And I think it's just, if you're an open person and you seem like you're friendly, I don't know if it's my face, my demeanor, I don't know what it is, people just tell me stuff, or they just feel like they can open up to me, or I don't know what it is. But with that comes, you have to form a little barrier, and I have had to learn this, because I have got myself into some very awkward situations previously where said people who have felt like they can just approach me and come and engage with me, and I'm not saying I'm not like the Queen, you can't, don't touch me, don't talk to me, but certain situations are just a bit much. So it reminded me, I've had many different situations.
Too many to remember.
Yeah, a lot of them were, I just end up with, the person on a bus that everybody avoids because they maybe smell a little bit, or and it's usually someone who's just really lonely, who nobody really talks to, and I actually feel like I want to talk to them because I want to help them more, make them feel a bit more like a real person, not a real person, you know what I mean? I want to make them feel like they're worth something to somebody.
They're valid.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. But it's when they go a bit far. So I've had quite a lot of encounters like that, and I've ended up with some really good book recommendations, or I don't know, being invited to someone's house, or all sorts of weird stuff.
That's when it crosses a strange line.
Yeah, and like there was a really nice gent who got off the train once, and you could tell he was quite slow, so I carried his suitcase for him, and then he got on the same bus as me, and then I helped him get off with his suitcase. And anyway, I don't know why I gave him my business card, and then he started emailing me, and this is my problem, I don't know where the line is, so I shouldn't probably have given him my business card. My fault.
No. Yeah.
But the worst one that I had was I once got on a train and there was a guy got on and it looked like he was visually impaired and he was like looking at a train timetable really closely to his face. And it was one of those, American people probably won't have a clue what these trains are, but it was like a train that was like an old bus where the seat is just one bench and you're all rammed in and the trains are hideously rammed anyway. So I was next to the window and he came and sat next to me and I was like, do you want some help looking at your train timetable? I can just use my app if you want me to look at it. Anyway, I did this and I helped him and I told him what time his train would get in and stuff like that. I don't think he even was visually impaired. He was just looking at it really close. But then what happened was I was holding a coffee and I had like fingerless gloves on. And he was like, oh, your hand's cold. And he started holding my hand. And I was like, no, they're okay. Don't worry. And then he was just like, he kept trying to touch me and he was very open and very caring, but I'd literally just met him and I was stuck and I couldn't move anywhere. And everybody around me was basically just like this, not looking in the opposite direction, trying to avoid the fact that possibly needed some help. And it got to the point where he actually took my hand at one point and tried to kiss it, and I had to pull my hand away.
Oh,
And I couldn't go anywhere. And I was like, no, I don't really want you to do that. And then it got to his train stop. I knew where he was getting off because he told me that's what he wanted the timetable for.
yeah.
And he just wasn't getting off. And he was talking to me. And I was like, I think this is your stop. And he said, well, what stop are you going to? And I was just like, no, this is your
Anyone
stop.
that you're not going to.
Please get off now. So that was when I realised being nice to people and trying to help people is okay, but you've got to make sure that you're safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying, because I think this is something where we're kind of similar as well, because I've had incidents where I've tried to help people that are in need, that maybe could do with some assistance, or that I didn't even really want to help, but they've kind of thrust the situation upon me, and I'm like, well, what do I do now? I have two choices: help them or just look like an absolute asshole and feel really bad. And in some cases, I've just intervened because I felt it was the right thing to do. And sometimes it works. Sometimes you end up helping them, and it's all good.
Yeah.
And nothing iffy comes of it. But sometimes it kind of goes a little bit awry. You might get slapped in the face. You might get you might just get knocked out in the street.
What's your worst outcome then?
Of trying to help somebody. Probably, to be fair, not too many bad things have happened. The worst has probably been the time that guy slapped me in the ear in the takeaway, because I tried to intervene when he was getting really handsy with that young girl who just didn't want anything to do with it, and so received a slap in the ear for it. But you know what? I'll willingly take a slap in the ear if it meant that she wasn't going to be like physically assaulted or possibly worse at some point in the evening.
Yeah, fair play to you. I was there for that. I can attest that it was very chivalrous.
Yeah, we'll go with that. A guy threatened me with a broken bottle once.
Whoa.
because I was trying to help. Him and his girlfriend had like a massive domestic on the street, and she was trying to get away, and he was just really belligerently loud and aggressive and just basically hounding her on the street. So a couple of us kind of just stepped in and offered to walk her back to where she was going, to a house, to a flat. And this guy didn't take too kindly to it because we were interfering with his business, which we were technically, but at the same time it was like genuinely really, really hostile.
Yeah, you can't just walk away from something like that, can you?
No, and he was being like overtly aggressive. And so he was drinking at the time on the street, and then he just smashed the bottle against the side of the wall and just like started like waving it about stuff. And so it was just a case of just move quickly, because he was pissed, and so he wasn't exactly the most lucid, but that could have gone slightly wrong in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it usually just stems from trying to help people.
Yeah, what's so wrong with trying to be helpful and nice?
I don't know. But you bring up a point. It's a case of reading the situation and, sort of judging it as best you can. Yeah. I have the same thing, though, where people will talk to me about all sorts of stuff that I don't really expect them to. and don't particularly want them to either a lot of the time.
I've got a few friends of the same, you know. I think it is like it's if you're an open and you're a
It's
kind
definitely that.
person, it really is. I think a certain personality type, you do attract. I want to say you're a weirdo magnet, but that's probably not the nicest
You
way to
do
term
no,
it.
well, no, it's it's maybe not, but you do attract some weird people. But you also just attract, I think, people in general, and it's usually people with some sort of issue or problem, or you find yourself drawn to a situation where there's something going on. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's actually really kind of fulfilling. One example that I can think of is probably one of the last times I came to see you guys, and we were coming back from Manchester on the train, and it was really crowded, and we kind of got separated, and I ended up sitting next to this woman who I didn't know, and who had been, she was asking what I'd been doing in the day, just general chit chat. And it was like she was trying to find somebody to create an in with, to talk about her son who had just died. And she was there going to his flat to collect some stuff.
I remember you saying about this.
And she just, and it was not a long train journey, but it was enough for her to
Mm.
kind of find somebody to talk to and kind of unload what she needed to unload at the time. And like all I did was just sit there, and she just, I don't know if it was a case of I was the first person she felt she could talk to. I was the first person she'd seen since getting back. I don't know. It could have been anybody, but it was just, it was nice. It was one of those situations where it's like, okay, I'm having to sort of bear this woman's emotional weight, but it's maybe helping her shift it a little bit. So it was
Oh,
kind of
that's
nice.
good.
It was one of those nice moments where obviously through something horrible that's happened and she's
Mm.
processing, you kind of feel human. You feel connected to somebody even though you don't know them, because we pass so many people day in day out with like just absolutely banal conversation and just absolutely meaningless small talk. And yet sometimes we kind of forget that the people we're passing or we're having these very fleeting moments with are actually humans
Yeah.
with issues and people they care about and things going on. And you know, I would like to think that at some point, and I don't know if this will ever happen, if I ever need to just talk to a woman on a train about something horrible that's happening, that I could do that. So yeah, I have uh, one last thing for you if you're interested.
Yes.
So
Always.
it's the random list that I've been doing.
Yes. What I've been waiting for.
So I have, let's have a look, 26. So I need you to pick a number between 1 and 26.
17.
All right, 17, reincarnation. Do you believe in it? And if so, do you want to come back with any conscious knowledge of your past life? So basically, if you do become reincarnated, would you want to have any memories of the life you had lived that you are living now? Or would you want to start from scratch?
Um,
First of all, do you actually believe in reincarnation?
I, I want, I want to believe in it, right? And
Mhm.
which religion is it? Hinduism and also Buddhism, who,
Buddhism for sure.
yeah, who both believe in reincarnation. And those two religions are probably the two religions that I'm most aligned with, and I like their philosophies and I like what they're about. So I would love to believe that it is a thing. I struggle with believing something that I can't physically touch.
Yeah,
Um, so yes, I do, but no, because I can't touch it.
right.
But I'd like
No,
it to. But I'd
no,
like to believe it.
I get you. I'm exactly the same. I would love to believe it's a real thing, but
Yeah,
because it's not tangible, because you don't have any exacting proof that it is a thing, it's just so hard to cross over the
yeah.
line and say for sure.
It's like doing that zoom, zoom, zoom. I'll come back to the reincarnation thing, but it is kind of like doing that zoom out thing. That if I ever feel really overwhelmed by the world, or if I've just like had an argument with somebody or whatever, I like to zoom out and zoom out and zoom out and zoom out until like I'm looking down on myself from
Hmm.
the universe, you know, and you just realize that you're just a speck of dust and you're completely meaningless, really, in the grand scheme of things. And thinking about everything that's out there in space and in the universe, it's a bit too scary, and it blows my mind a bit too much, and I can only think about it for a really short amount of time because it does blow my mind. It just is too much for my brain, I think. And I think as humans, it is too much for our brains to comprehend. And I think
Absolutely.
reincarnation's like that. It's like a bit too much for my brain to comprehend.
This is why I can never and have never ever been able to say yes, there is a God, because I
Yeah.
think the construct is too big to comprehend for human brains to even
Yep.
process or claim to understand. It's wonderful to think that there is, and of course we would all like to believe that there is somebody in charge at the front of the ship. But I think when you're talking about a power of that magnitude, it's too much to even formulate a concrete answer for me. It's
Yeah.
too much of an abstract thing to say, yes, absolutely. And in
Yeah.
a weird way, I'm kind of jealous of people that can, not because they have a better sense of perception or understanding or better cognitive processes than me, but because they've been able to sort of level with that sense of what they perceive as understanding. And I don't think I'll ever get that.
No, I totally agree with that. I don't think that we have the words, the language.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think we have anything that we can put to what creation is, and all of the science around it and anything. I don't think we have that in a way that we can possibly comprehend it. And
No.
that's, do you know what? That's a great thing. I don't think I'd want that in my brain.
No, I don't think so either. I think there are some things that we're just not meant to understand, and I think there's an absolute joy and beauty in that. You know, I think one thing that is becoming more apparent with the evolution and integration of technology in human life is this constant need to understand everything. And it's great because it drives intelligence, it drives growth, it drives a higher sense of perception, but at the same time, it takes away the romance of mystery, it takes away the soul of being alive. Because if we know everything about everything, what's the point?
Yeah,
Where's the joy? Where's the joy in discovering and just the chase, you know?
that is deep. I'm gonna go to bed now,
Yeah.
aren't I? Straight after this, thinking about that. That's gonna blow my mind.
Have you ever seen a movie called Enter the Void by a French director called Gaspar Noé?
No. Shall I
Okay,
watch it?
I would recommend it. It's not for everybody, but you may enjoy aspects of it because you talking about zooming out and zooming out and zooming out. That's a big part of it. So the film is steeped in two things. One of them is DMT, the hallucinogenic drug, and the other is the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which I highly recommend anybody read if you're interested in the idea of reincarnation. Even if you are not spiritually persuaded or of that sort of ilk, it's just generally fascinating to read about the ideas and possibilities of reincarnation. And so that's what the movie's based on. It's about hallucinogenic drugs.
Have you
Try that
taken
again.
one?
Yeah. It sounds like it at the minute. And Tibetan Book of the Dead. And the whole thing is a very sort of abstract film. There's no real concrete narrative to it, which is why it may be for you, it may not be.
I'll watch it and I'll let you know. That'll be my
But
homework.
the whole aspect of it is it follows a character who dies and then whose soul leaves his body and does, as you said, zoom out and zoom out and zoom out, and spends most of the time hovering above the city of Tokyo and just kind of like floating in around and examining his life as it was and how the world in which his body has left is going on without him. And it's like an acceptance of his past and an acceptance that the present will turn into a future that's going to be okay without him.
That sounds really
And
cool. Yeah, I'll
that's
watch
what
that.
I get from it anyway.
Oh,
Whether or
you
not,
shouldn't have told me. I should have watched it with no interpretation.
yeah, I suppose.
The second part of your question.
Yes, if it is a thing, if you find out that reincarnation is a thing and you come back, would you, if given the choice, come back with conscious memories of the life you've just left?
Absolutely not. No,
No.
not at all. And I actually was thinking, I had a slight argument with Sean the other night, and I went for a walk, and I just sat on a bench where I could see for miles. Like, I could see Blackpool Tower, I could see the sea, and I just sat there. And I actually thought about this then randomly, which was only about a week ago, and I thought, if I was going to come back, I think I'd come back as a bird of prey, because I would absolutely not want to come back as a human. Like, no offense, humans, I'm not into you.
Is that just because you're kind of disillusioned with humans as a whole?
Not into them.
No, we're a bit rubbish at times.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it might be the same. Might be the same in the animal world. We don't know what politics are going on, do we?
No, exactly.
And then I thought, if I was a bird of prey, then I wanted to be like relatively high up the food chain, because I don't want to spend my whole life worrying who's going to eat me.
Right.
But also the freedom that you get by being a bird, I think would be pretty cool. So yes, I kind of believe in reincarnation, because I do think about it from time to time, but absolutely not. I would not want any consciousness, and I would not want to come back as a human.
I think that's a pretty solid answer, and I think I'm pretty much aligned with that.
Would you be a bird of prey?
I don't know much about a bird of prey. Probably now that you've mentioned about the food chain, that's not something I'd actually thought about, but it actually makes a lot of sense, because you don't want to come back to a new life and constantly be on the run.
No.
Hiding from bigger birds that are trying to eat you.
No.
That's just a terrible way to do life a second time. But yeah, I think that would be it. There's definitely a sense of freedom. I think not coming back as a human definitely has its benefits, because you don't have to be sort of entwined in social political structures and systems. You don't have to worry about rent or mortgages or paying bills or what have you. All you have to do is just be, and obviously survive and eat and find shelter. But there's something kind of nice about the idea of thinking of scaling your existence to that, and not having the external worries and sort of melodrama that can come from it. You know, my life as a bird, much simpler.
Or just a domesticated cat, because,
Actually, yeah, do you know what?
They have got the life.
But only if you're in a house with a cat flap, so you can get out and kind of just roll around. Go exploring.
I'd come back as my cat. He has a lovely life.
Just come back as Johnson and just live a life of luxury.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm actually torn now. Bird of prey or a cat? One of the two. Definitely.
You can think about it. That can be some more homework.
Exactly. I will. I will. So there you go. That is our concluding conversation with the wonderful Rachel Shaw. Just out of curiosity, if you are going to be reincarnated, I say if you're going to be as if you've scheduled it in like an appointment, if you were to be reincarnated and you had a choice, then what would you come back as? Would it be another human? And if so, would you retain any of your previous life's memories? Or would you also come back as a bird of prey or a cat or a different animal? Maybe you might not even be an animal. You might come back as, I don't know, a tree. Tell me what you would come back as if of course, you do believe in reincarnation. But just for funsies, even if you don't, just come up with something. Maybe a liger, have fun with it, get wild. You might be interested to know as well, on the sort of prolonged topic of Gong Baths, I actually have signed myself up through Eventbrite to attend a Kundalini, is that right? No, Kundalini Yoga and Gong Bath session online. I don't know how effective something like that could be online, but I'm game to try it. And of course, I will come back in next week's episode with my reportings and findings after attending my Kundalini Yoga and Gong Bath session. Kundalini, it sounds more like a pasta than it does like a yoga practice. So, right off the bat, and no, do you know what? I'm not going in with skepticism. I'm going to go in as much with a clear head as possible. I'm sure Kundalini is all kinds of cool. I'm not even going to look into what it is. I'm just going to go in completely blind to it and see what happens. So yeah, you've got that to look forward to. My report back on my Kundalini Yoga and Gong Bath session next week. Also next week, kind of keeping things a little bit woo-woo, I'm going to be going through my quarantine, COVID, coronavirus dream journal. Yeah, like many people, my sleep has been not quite regular, been broken up into weird patterns. I've had bouts of insomnia, I've had strange nocturnal visions come to me, and I'm going to be going through some of them. I've been, at times, lucid enough to make a dream journal with a lot of shorthand notes, plenty of misspellings. So, yeah, first and foremost, it's going to be interesting to sort of decipher what I've written at 4 a.m. Not exactly with all of my senses on fleek. No, that's not right. On something. Sorry, it's these garden people. They're really putting me off. When I say garden people, I don't mean like little people that live in the garden, like fairies or gnomes. You know, people actually dicking about in someone's garden. So I'm going to try and decipher my dream journal for you next week, and we're going to use some online sources, you know, real reputable places of definitive information, concrete. We're going to be using some of those online sources and online dream dictionaries to look at what possibly I've been trying to tell myself, what my subconscious has been trying to make me aware of through my nocturnal visions. Oh, that didn't sound healthy. Oof, yeah, thoughts and prayers to whatever that was. Whatever plant just bit the dust right there. Anyway, you've got that to look forward to next week. If you've enjoyed this episode, if you've enjoyed what you've heard so far, whether you are jumping on for the first time or you've been there with us from the start and you haven't done so already, the best way you can support this show is simply by subscribing. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts from, whatever podcast platform you use. Just search for us. You'll be able to find us, no doubt, and hit that little subscribe button. Helps us out tremendously. Make sure that you get every episode delivered straight to your door. No, that doesn't work either. Straight to your ears. There you go. That's the one. It does help tremendously, as does ratings and reviews. Those help tremendously too. So if you want to support the show, those are the best 2 ways to do so. Other than that, check out the website, dimed-out.com. You can find all the previous episodes. You can find a whole treasure trove of other stuff connected to the show, whether that be silly little video edits I've made, live streams, blog posts, all of the stuff, it's there as well. You can get in touch with me directly if you want to talk about the show, if you want to talk about ideas for season 2, if you want to share some of your weird dreams, you can do so. You can do that by getting in touch on Twitter and Instagram at I am Mal Foster. We are over on Facebook as well. If you search for Dimed Out, you'll be able to find us. But the most direct and immediate responses will probably be found at Twitter. So twitter.com/I am Mal Foster. I don't know why I'm telling you the whole URL in its entirety. Just, Anyway, I'm off to go get some pizza now, because pizza is delicious and it doesn't have pineapple because that's for heathens and heretics. Other than that, as always, thank you for listening. Until next time, look after yourselves, look after each other, and keep it dimed out.